Hello everyone, welcome to the Madcap Hats channel. I'm Tori Capes, certified milliner, and I'm not showing you how to make a hat today, but instead we're going to show you how to do some creative packaging for a hat, because I am going to be going to the first public event that I've had since the pandemic started. I've been shuttered up here in the studio for over 2 years, and so I'm getting back out on the road. And I want to give some of my customers something special when they buy a hat from me. So this is a great idea that you can use if you have a little shop or you have a craft business like I do, or a great idea just to elevate your gift wrapping to the next level. Beautiful, washable fabric gift bags. Let's get started. Now I've already made quite a few of these bags, and I've used a good quality quilting weight fabric, and I'm not lining them. It's a single layer, but I'm reinforcing all my seams. So from a yard or a meter, you could get 2 of this size of bag, and I'm using a cotton cord that's quite thick and heavy, but it's perfect for me to use up for this, and I use about 48 inches or 123 centimeters times 2. And you can use ribbon as well, as I was just showing. Now I'm showing you this sugar skull fabric because if you wanted to make a really big bag, you would use the width of the fabric as the width of your bag, and then you can cut to any length. But this particular piece, if I fold it in half, I would get 2 of the bags that I'm just about to show you how to make. I will make a Santa sack, a big bag, at the end of this video, and I will also give you all the details in the description for the video as well. But today I'm going to use some Halloween fabric, and I'm going to make another bag, the same measurements as the Christmas bags that I showed you at the beginning. So I'm just trimming it down, getting rid of those rough bits, and I'm going to also trim off the edges as well, so that the measurements are good. And I'm not lining my bags, so that means I'm taking extra care to make sure that the edges are finished so that I will prevent fraying. Now I'm going to finish my edges with a serger, but if you don't have a serger, you can use a zigzag or even use pinking shears to make a nice serrated edge on your fabric to prevent fraying. So I'm going to serge on that raw edge that's going to be the side seams. And eventually I'll serge around the top, but right now I'm doing the sides. And this should help make the bags more durable too, so they can be washed a number of times and my customers will be able to use them for shopping or for when they're traveling for laundry. There's all sorts of ways to use these bags. And I'm using my basic 3/8 of an inch wide seam, which is the one that I'm comfortable with, but by all means, if you use a 5/8 or a 1/2 inch seam, then you do what's comfortable for you and your sewing machine. And I'm going to repeat this seam on the other side. Now, because the fabric I chose has a pattern that works well in every direction, I'm just going to do a stay stitch along the bottom, just inside that fold mark, just to give it a bit of strength. But if my fabric had a pattern that only went up and down in one direction, then I would also have a seam at the bottom to sew and would add a line of serging there too. And I will show you that at the end of the video as well. But for the sake of this first one that we're going to make together, I have a fold, I'm just giving it a stay stitch, and here I'm showing you what I mean by a pattern that goes up and down. These gnome heads are up and down in one direction, so the bottom is not on a fold. It's going to be sewn together so that the gnomes are the same on both sides of the bag. So once we have that step done, we're going to work on the casing for our drawstring, and I'm going to make a mark with my washable marker 5 inches or 13 centimeters down from the top of the bag on each side, just to the right or left of the side seam where I can see it when I open up this seam. So I'm sort of finger pressing that bit down, 5 inches down, And I'm going to top stitch that seam flat. So I'm going to do a stitch on either side of the seam and make that a nice flat reinforced area. And I will do it on both sides. I do this a lot with my hat seams too. If you're a member already of this channel and have watched some of my videos before, you will be no stranger to this technique. So I will go on the right side of my seam and go down 5 inches to where my mark is, pivot, sew across a few stitches, pivot again, and back up to the top. And repeat on the other side. And that's how it should look. And now I'm just going to finish off that top edge that's still raw, and I'm going to add a serge all the way around. And now that I've done that, I'm just folding over a cuff. So I folded over about 2 inches or 5 centimeters into the inside of the bag. And now I'm starting to draft the channel for my drawstring. And my channel is going to be 2 rows of sewing, and I'm going to leave probably almost an inch, or say 2.5 centimeters or 2 centimeters in between the 2 rows of sewing. And I'm going to start about a 1/2 inch or 125 millimeters down from the top, so that when the bag is closed, it almost has a little bit of a ruffle. And I just clipped it into place and gave it a nice steam, which will make it easier to sew. And this is what I mean by the 2 lines of sewing. And it's definitely wide enough for my cord to fit through, so make sure that your cord's going to fit, or your ribbon is going to fit through the channel. So you're going to have some flexibility here to make the width whatever you need. I'm going to be opening a bit of that side of the bag in this hemmed area in order to insert the drawstring. So I'm going back and forth at the intersection of this new seam that I'm making and the side seams. So on both sides, the side seam's going to get some back and forth at that intersection point. We want this to be very well reinforced when we open it up to insert our drawstring. And you'll see what I mean in a minute when I get to that point. But right now I'm going all around the top to put in my first line of sewing for the top of the channel, and back and forth when I come to a side seam. And once I finish this row, I'm going to drop down maybe an inch or less than an inch or 2 centimeters and add a second line of sewing parallel with that first, and do the same thing when I come to a side seam, back and forth to reinforce. If you want, you can go all the way down and sew just inside that serge there as well. And I am using my very beloved magnetic seam guide measure, which I use every single day. And I can't recommend getting one of those enough. It's such a great tool. Lots of back and forth, back and forth. Make that super strong. Now I'm going to use my seam ripper to very carefully remove 1 or 2 stitches on the outside of the bag in between those 2 lines of sewing in the channel that I've just created for my drawstring. Once I get one broken, it usually opens up very easily just by pulling with my fingers. And I did not go through to the other side, no siree. So our opening is just on the outside of the bag, and we're going to do the same thing now on the other side. And I'm going to cut some cord, 48 inches or 123 centimeters long, give or take an inch or a centimeter, and I'm going to cut 2 pieces. And I'll use a pin or a bodkin to pull my drawstring through. And I'm going to go in to one side and go all the way around and come out the same side. And then I'm just going to pull on the cord, both ends, and just sort of space it out while the bag is in the fully open position. And then I'll tie the 2 ends together in a knot and cut off any extra. Now I do tie it in a knot at this first stage because I don't want to accidentally have one end of this cord come through the other side when I'm pulling this next piece through. So it just will stay nicely in place if you tie it off and then do the next one. So we came in the other side and we went all the way around and came out that same opening that we started. And now we have a knot on both sides of our bag. And I'll trim the end. I leave a little bit on the other side of the knot. And that's it. Trick or treat. Oh, a treat. Yum. All right, one initiated Halloween candy collecting bag. Now, when I was talking about the Santa sack, they're meant to be big bags that you can put multiple gifts in and use year after year. So the process is the same, except this material has a pattern that goes in just one direction. I used my sewing machine first to do that seam, and then I finished off the edge with a serge, and then I've pressed it flat. And now I'm going to finish this bag the way that we just did the Halloween bag. So I'm going to finish the edges with a serge so they don't fray. And I'll make sure that my bottom seam is going in the same direction. And then threading the cord through once it's all done. And I will leave you more instructions about how to make a Santa sack in the description for the video. Oh, by the way, this is the bodkin that I use, and I really recommend it. I'm not being sponsored by anybody, so when I recommend something, it's because I actually use the product. And I got this on Amazon.com. Now these Santa sacks are quite popular and they're not cheap. So, given that you're using almost a yard or almost a meter of fabric, you can still make money making these Santa sacks for your small sewing business. And I hope Santa leaves me lots of presents in it. And there's my Halloween bag. And we're done, just like that. Now, the beret, the bucket hat, and the toque with the bow trim, those are all upcoming projects that we're going to have videos for on this channel in October. So please, if you're not a subscriber, consider subscribing so you can join in the fun of making those wonderful hats. The bucket hat and the beret can be made in summer weight fabrics as well, although I've made mine in fleece because here in Canada, we're just about to start winter. So now for the big test. Will my hats fit in my bags? That is the question that will soon be answered. And the answer appears to be yes. In fact, I think I can get 2 in there. There is actually room for 3. Oh, great. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. We'll be back next week with another pattern and tutorial. And in the meantime, thanks for watching. Happy sewing and bye.